Hi everyone. Today I am going to explain how to revise and edit. Revision is a strategy for improving ideas or arguments clear, so it deals with more global issues such as how to develop arguments coherently with evidence in writing. Compared to revision, addition is a strategy for making sentences clear, concise, and free of mistakes, especially in terms of grammar, spelling, and punctuation. So, these two strategies are very important in writing because there is no perfect writing, which means that writers need to constantly change what they wrote to improve the quality of writing. So in this video, I will first explain some checklists for revising drafts with some examples and then move to other checklists for editing. Alright, so first of all, I'm going to deal with 4 checklists for revision. Suppose that you have your own drafts and you need to revise them. The first thing you need to do is that you have to have your own criteria. The following 4 checklists are very useful criteria for you to check whether your writing includes the following information in your drafts, and if not, you needed to revise your drafts. I will briefly explain 4 checklists, and the first checklist is about related to introduction. In your introduction, you should explicitly state your thesis statement, a sentence to tell your argument about your topic. For example, suppose that you have to discuss whether college sports should be banned. You need to think about your own opinions about this topic, and this is the thesis statement. For instance, here, look at the 2 sentences. The first sentence is a college sports should be prohibited. This sentence is a weak thesis statement because it is too general. This sentence does not answer the question why college sports should be banned. However, in contrast, the second one is strong because the writer supports the reason for banning college sports with the reason negative impacts on students' academic performance. The difference between these 2 sentences is that how specifically a writer shows own ideas with reasons. Therefore, when you write a thesis statement, you first of all clearly show your own opinion about the topic and offer specific reasons for why you think in that way. Second, you also need to check whether in each body paragraph, especially at the first sentence of each body paragraph, you should state main ideas. In other words, topic sentences that relevant to your thesis statement. If you write the thesis statement at the introduction that college sports should be banned, you need to state relevant topic sentences at each paragraph for supporting your topic sentences. I will try to explain with examples. This is the example of body paragraph, and the first sentence is a topic sentence for this paragraph. First of all, college sports have negative impacts on students' grade. And then here, when you look at the latter part, according to GIM 2014, the writer supports the topic sentence with reading resources. The writer supports the topic sentence with Kim's article 2004. A good writer usually supports their own topic sentences with evidence, and that this evidence might refer to reading materials, especially in academic writing. Since you aim at improving your academic writing, it is a better idea to cite some reading resources. And that during this process, you also need to check whether you follow APA styles appropriately. If you want to learn how to cite your reading resources, there is a very useful website called Purdue All homepage. I linked this website here, so this homepage is going to be a useful resources for academic writing. The third one is not only within paragraphs but also between body paragraphs. You also need to check whether you appropriately used transition words. These four categories are the most common types of transition words when you write. So when you write, be sure to use these various transition words in your writing. So here, for example, in case of the meaning of the addition transition words, we can think about in addition, moreover, besides, first, second, and lastly. Alright, lastly, within conclusion, you also need to check whether you restated your thesis statement. When restating your thesis statement, you don't have to cut and paste your thesis statement that you wrote at the introduction. You need to paraphrase it. For instance, in this example text, the writer uses a transition word to conclude, and using this kind of transition words, as I mentioned at the previous slide, is a good idea because you indicate readers that you are about to complete your writing at this paragraph based on the use of the transition word here to conclude. And then, at the first and second sentence, the writer paraphrases thesis statement and the introduction. College sports should be banned because they have negative influences on students' academic performance and they raise the student tuition fee. You also need to consider whether your conclusion shows the sense of completeness for readers by writing your personal comment in order to have strong impressions about your opinions on your readers. In this case, the writer raises a question with emphasizing the goal of education. When you look at this sentence, the writer mentioned that what is the most important goal of the education, and then the writer finishes this conclusion paragraph. The most important priority is learning. So the writer leaves a space so that readers, after reading this essay, should think about the issues once again. Okay, so these four checklists are very useful strategies for revision. So when you revise your own drafts, be sure to use these four checklists in order to improve the quality of writing. Alright, from now on, I will discuss some editing issues. Editing is a little bit different from revision. Revision is a kind of strategy for changing some writings in terms of like idea development or how to strong their argument. However, editing is a kind of strategy for changing some minor issues such as grammar, vocabulary use, or the use of punctuation like this. So, many ESL writers tended to have three undesirable sentences, and one of them is related to choppy sentence. So here, choppy sentence refers to a series of simple sentences, such as subject-verb, that can make your writing unprofessional. A lot of beginning ESL writers organize each sentence like a choppy sentence, and this is not a desirable indication of good writing. So, you need to check about whether your drafts also include choppy sentences. I will show you some choppy sentences at this slide and how to revise them more effectively. In this example, there are three sentences, and it seems that they are separate. One effective way to combine them in one sentence is that you can think about using coordinating or subordinating conjunctions. Here, the writer uses three coordinating conjunctions but, or, and so, and the three sentences eventually become one single sentence. However, when you use these conjunctions, you need to be careful by using appropriate transition words. So, one of the ways to overcoming the choppy sentence is that you can think about using coordinating or subordinating conjunctions. Next, there is another undesirable sentence called wordy sentence. So, wordy sentences refer to sentences including unnecessary or redundant words, and many ESL writers have a habit to unnecessarily expand each sentence longer in order to try to use various types of sentences in their writing. However, these unnecessarily long sentences are not desirable in writing, so if possible, you need to think about ways to express your meaning as concise as possible. I will also show you some wordy sentences and how to revise them. For instance, here, many uneducated people who did not attend could be reduced to many uneducated people because the information who did not attend to schools is the same meaning as uneducated people. Moreover, the meaning of cooperate and that of together has the same meanings, so only one word cooperate is necessary. Similarly, the last expression put an emphasis on can be expressed as emphasize. In short, when you edit your sentences, try to think about these redundant sentences because good writing is to explain in a concise way. Moreover, if you find some phrases such as in my opinion, I think that, I believe that, it appears that in your writing, delete them because they are kind of meaningless expressions for increasing pages. Okay? The last is run-on sentences. This refers to more than two sentences fused together without using punctuations or appropriate conjunctions. A lot of ESL writers also make these mistakes, and you also need to check whether your drafts include these run-on sentences. I will show you some examples and how to revise them. At the first example, two sentences are connected without any devices, and this is ungrammatical. One simple way to edit is that you can use period, which means to make two sentences. At the second and third example, you can also think about using coordinating or subordinating conjunctions, as long as meanings are coherently connected together. Alright, these three editing strategies could be also useful for changing or improving the quality of writing in terms of grammar, vocabulary use, or sentence styles. So I hope that these two strategies are important steps for improving the quality of writing. So when you revise or edit your drafts, I hope that you use these strategies. Thank you.